So why have I decided to review the Hallows Launcher Mark II, a weapon that originally released for Halloween 2021 at the cost of 1700 Robux? Well, because the Hallows Launcher is my favorite weapon in Criminality, and it's October. Also, for the sake of the video, I'll be referring to the Hallows Launcher Mark II as the Hallows Launcher, not to be confused with the original Hallows Launcher. Anyway, before you get to use the Hallows Launcher in-game, you first have to spend the previously mentioned 1700 Robux, or the equivalent of 80 gumballs, or 20 USD. After that, you're able to buy the Hallows Launcher from either the Armory or dealer for $160, with the reload cost ranging from $10, $20, and $30. The time to reload takes about 4 seconds, and there's a cooldown on buying a reload for the Hallows Launcher in both the Armory and dealer, which is about 25 seconds. So, let's move on to what the Hallows Launcher can do. The most notable thing about the Hallows Launcher is its ability to launch people into the sky. Firing at the enemy's legs will likely cause them to shoot up in the air and slam into the ground. The actual damage from the Hallows Launcher itself isn't too great, considering it has an average of 30, and that's with a direct hit or a very close shot. The full strength of the Hallows Launcher is unlocked when both damage types are combined. Only then does the Hallows Launcher become capable of one-shotting enemies, or at the very least, capable of putting them in critical condition. The enemy doesn't even have to go in the air. If they hit the wall, they can still get critically damaged. Now we'll look at the problems with the Hallows Launcher. Now, if you don't have the Hallows Launcher, or just haven't seen it much, you probably think this sounds fairly strong, but in reality, there's two problems to using the Hallows Launcher: aiming and armor. No, I didn't pick those two because they both start with A. Aiming the Hallows Launcher is kinda difficult. There are only 6 projectile-based weapons in Criminality, one of which isn't in the game anymore, so that makes 5. You don't have anything to base the speed on since the projectile speed for the Hallows Launcher isn't similar to those weapons at all. And then there's a throwables, but those are sort of their own thing since they have an arc, and don't directly shoot from the center of your screen. Continuing with the theme of aim, if you shoot at an enemy close enough to you, chances are, you and the enemy will go soaring in opposite directions. Now that'd be a good thing, but you usually don't want to be down with your enemy, or at least at low health. Past that, aiming with the Hallows Launcher just takes getting used to, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. I still haven't since I don't play too much anymore, but I'm sure other people have. Moving on. Armor. So here's something. Armor, specifically vests, completely denies the launching ability from the Hallows Launcher. Any tier of armor makes every hit a stun, and the stun is less depending on what level of armor it is. However, this isn't the same for helmets, since if your enemy only has a helmet, they can still be launched. Once you get used to the speed of the Hallows Launcher and avoid confrontations with enemies wearing a vest, the Hallows Launcher can be freely used against enemies. Mostly. You know, people who strictly use guns and can aim. And I believe when someone is under the effects of X24 they can't be launched. And even then, why are you using the Hallows Launcher to fight someone with X24? Go get an AK. Besides that though, you're good to go. Rocket jumping is a real thing that can work, although it is incredibly risky and usually isn't ideal. You take about 28 damage from rocket jumping, not including wherever you land. This clip is a perfect example of how rocket jumping usually goes. You go flying and then splat on the ground. In the perfect situation, you rocket jump and don't take the consequences of your actions. But still, this can be used to flee situations where you're being gunned down or chased and you've got no other options left. Of course, doing this will immediately throw your enemy off since you suddenly disappeared. Rocket jumping can legitimately be useful, as it's the only vertical mobility in the game, but it can still backfire horribly. Alright, now that you know a basic amount of information about the Hallows Launcher, what pairs well with this thing? Well, the main issue here is that you're trying to get a loadout with the Hallows Launcher. This thing takes 7.5 slots, and unless you buy armor or a backpack, all you've got to work with is 2.5 slots. All I'll say is if you plan on rocket jumping, buy a splint, just in case. Otherwise, use whatever you feel is best for you. I just use the knuckle dusters, 2 throwables, and a splint. If you have a backpack or armor, you don't have to think about what you'll use too much. Past this point, there isn't much to say. The Hallows Launcher Mark II overall is usually weak, and more so meant for fun. But if you know what you're doing, you can definitely hold your own with this thing. Besides that, in the elusive original Hallows Launcher released in 2020, there's nothing else about the Hallows Launcher that I didn't mention, either because I didn't feel it was important or I don't know about it. And about combat, I am definitely not qualified to talk about that. So yeah, the Hallows Launcher is a perfectly fine weapon, and to me, is a fun one. It is my favorite after all. Similar to the snowball launchers, they aren't ideal for actual combat, but they're sure fun to use. I'm assuming the Hallows Launcher goes on sale this year unless we get a Hallows Launcher Mark III, in which case, I'll share my thoughts on that if it happens, but I doubt it will. Okay, bye.